Welcome to Joe's Astrology. Today is Monday, March 25th, 2024, and it is a full moon in Libra. And in this episode, I want to talk about what the full moon is, and I'm going to read a passage from the astrology master Dane Rudhyar from his book, The Lunation Cycle. The full moon, and this is a description of the full moon type of person who's born under the full moon. All persons born at full moon time and during the 3.5 days which follow. The moon is therefore from 180 to 135 degrees behind the sun in the zodiac, and we might say racing to meet the sun. This is the first of the types belonging to the waning hemicycle of the solely lunar cycle, and it carries out the symbolic meaning of the full moon apex of the cycle. Objectivity and clear consciousness as the result of personal and social cultural relationships are theoretically the basic factors in character. The original impulse of the lunation cycle, its fundamental ever-sounding tone, has now become a formed concept, a more or less clear image. What was mainly felt in the past is now seen. This may mean a revelation or illumination and normally some kind of fulfillment, but it can also mean negatively separation or divorce, perhaps even a divorce from reality, or inner division, man against himself. Relationship means everything to the person of the full moon type, or else he repudiates all relationships except perhaps those with an ideal or absolute character. So I'll have this posted up on the screen, the passage that I just read, and I'll try to explain at least what I think he means there, because there's a lot in those few words. So the full moon type is a person who has a clear image of what they want to do. So for example, let's say a person wants to start a business early in life, and I'll give you and I don't necessarily think it has to be a full moon type. So I'll give you an example of someone that I know who owned a business, and they started out working in that business, and by the time they were 22, 23, they owned their own. And then by the time they were 26, they moved on. They still own that business. They moved on to another business, and they've taken that now into their 40s into a massive operation. So that's not the best example, but it's just an example of a person. It's probably more an example of a person moving towards the full moon quickly, constantly seeing their vision come to life. But let's say that person came into this life and saw that one business and then took it, expanded it for their entire life. This person has a clear image of what they want to do based on what they've done in the past. And the full moon person, it's like just like the full moon operating on a monthly basis, it's illuminating this, it's making things become objective and clear. He also mentioned that it can go the other way. Not so much the illumination of fulfillment, but it can be negatively a separation or divorce, a divorce from reality or an inner division. So it could be that this full moon is illuminating what's behind the veil, what's hidden from most of human consciousness, and this person can become what appears to be insane or a lunatic, because the real objective world is now been illuminated. So we think of like spiritual people, or people who have gone, you could say people have gone insane, and everyone thinks they're crazy, but even spiritual teachers, the absoluteness and objectivity of the world has now been revealed to them. And we see that as being negative. He mentions that as being negative, and man against himself. Relationship means everything to the person of the full moon. And so when we have a full moon type, this person has a lot of experience with relationships and thrives in relationships, wants to be in relationships, has lessons to learn about relationships. And then he gives the opposite, again, a person who uses the words, repudiates all relationships and lives to an ideal, tries to live up to an ideal. And then he gives examples of people who are the full moon types. So he uses Saint Joan of Arc as a visionary example. So if you're not familiar with Saint Joan of Arc, she had a vision, and she's carrying out this vision with almost no forethought, no introspection. So if you're a Virgo type out there, or someone who has the moon in the gibbous phase, you may not be able to relate to full moon types. You may not be able to understand how they operate with that idea of no forethought. They can just go for it because they see so clearly. Their vision is clear. Like Saint Joan of Arc, her vision was clear of what she wanted to do in this life. And the full moon, just operating on a month-to-month basis, looking at it, which he doesn't mention in this paragraph, we can see that it can illuminate things that were not clear in your life. Maybe you set off on a new path and you're not sure where that's going to take you, or if you're going to continue to take it. More information can come to the light here with the full moon in effect. And I'll do another video on the moon in Libra. We'll just stick with the full moon in this. Although the full moon in Libra, it's like its purest. This is its purest type of full moon, because the full moon is essentially a seventh house effect, a seventh house phenomena, which is why he talks about here as as relationships meaning everything to the person of the full moon type. And I think that, you've people that go crazy during the full moon, just again on like a month-to-month basis, they may have seen their error, or this may be like a person who isn't really in a space where they can evaluate all this, so they may have some things on their mind of what they want to do, and the image may become clear, the vision may become clear, and they may not want to accept that. They may not want to look at that. And that's why you can see people just acting, maybe acting a little crazy, going out at night and drinking, getting drunk, and just having a good time. Or just someone who's very active. They're out and about. They can't stop moving. We could see this as a person who isn't really getting. Someone else might see that something in their life is being illuminated, but they're choosing to ignore it, or they're not even aware of it. So it plays out as them acting in this way, maybe acting a little crazy, just being extremely active. Not willing to sit with the thoughts and figure out what's going on, and that's fine. It just, people do this all the time, and it just kind of goes through the cycle, and then the moon wanes again and comes back to the new moon, and maybe they choose to ignore it for a while and move on to something else. And that's what I mean by like on a month-to-month basis. A person can definitely do this. It doesn't really work. Everything isn't so much in a linear way. Like with the full moon type, it may be more linear, or you may look at their life and see it as more linear. and everything's very smooth and moving in the same direction as the examples that I gave earlier. So stay tuned if you made it this far. I will hopefully talk about the moon in Libra tomorrow, and we'll get into some other things going on in the astrology this week. Hope you have a great day.